Did you like high school?
I did like high school. It might surprise you, or maybe it won't, but everybody liked me in high school, Ryan.
That doesn't surprise me. Everyone likes you because you're fake.
Does it bother you that now in the...
Where's your mic on that? On the
I don't know where it is.
Where's the mic?
Does it bother you now that in Sight and Sound, people are starting, like in Sight and Sound comments, people are like, I'm starting to agree with Jay on this point.
Yes.
How much is that driving you crazy?
It drives me absolutely nuts. Guys, if you just knew what it was like to be friends with Jay personally, all of my friends took to Jay. They want to hang out with Jay more than they want to hang out with me. I get it. My glasses are creating shadows. Yeah, it's so frustrating. And you guys, I understand it. You like Jay. I'm glad you like Jay. Because I want, you know, you're my co-host on 2 of my shows, 3 of our shows. So, but yeah, it is frustrating. I mean, I thought that I was the fan favorite. I was fan favorite for a long time. And then to not be fan favorite anymore, you know.
I can believe that.
I loved high school.
I know you did.
I had a blast. I mean, I would have loved to have stayed in high school.
I knew Ryan Snelling in high school. I didn't know him in high school. I knew...
You knew me when I was in high school.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew you before you knew you.
That's probably true, Jay. And you know me better than I know myself. What are we doing? We're in a car driving to Nashville, Tennessee. If you follow us on the Sight and Sound YouTube channel, which I'll talk about that in a minute, you'll know that we're actually going to be vlogging. We're going down here to check out one of our favorite bands, Balance and Composure. They're playing in Nashville. We thought we'd take the opportunity to just have a little mini road trip. Jay always talks about how I don't get out. So we're getting out. We're going to drive, stay at my first Airbnb, and see Balance and Composure. We didn't have time to make a podcast for After Schmoe, so we just decided to make it in video form, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time, right? Yeah,
Nashville is a weird place. Nashville is for me the LA of the East Coast, but for music, not for movies.
So there's like 2 stipulations. Like it's like LA, but this way, and it's also unlike it because of this, and then you continue to disprove your own point.
That's right. Yeah, look, I love Nashville. It's sort of a second home for me, so to speak, and I'm glad that we're going down here, and I'm even more happy that I'm getting to spend my car ride with Schmoeville.
You were going to say Snelling, but that's fine. Nashville is where I first met Mark Ellis, which is pretty cool.
Zanies?
Yes, because it was Funny Bone in Cincinnati, or Columbus, where we saw him, right?
R.I.P.
Is it dead? Or?
No, I'm just joking. It's still there.
No. So yeah, I haven't been to Nashville. It's been a little over a year since I've been down here, so I'm pretty excited. Going to see the Batman building. Only people who have been to Nashville will know that there's a Batman building.
Also going to Third Man Records, which is Jack White's record label / recording studio. It's based in Nashville as well.
Was that on Anthony Bourdain?
Maybe. Jack White was on.
Jack White was, yeah. Okay. Let's talk about what we're here to talk about. Actually, no. Let's talk about the giveaway, because you said that you don't want to talk about the giveaway at the end of our podcast or videos anymore.
That's right.
So, guys. Right, wait, we're not announcing it. Aren't we announcing it on weekly? When are we announcing this?
We're announcing it on Sight and Sound Weekly.
That's right.
But you guys have got just a little tiny bit of time left.
So the giveaway, we want you to have a free Schmoes Know t-shirt of your choice.
Free Schmoe, free Schmoe.
That's right. All you have to do is subscribe to our Sight and Sound YouTube channel. You can find that all kinds of ways. If you follow either one of us on Twitter, we tweet that shit out all the time. It's also in a link in the description. Subscribe to the Sight and Sound YouTube channel, and there you go. That's all you have to do. But if you want to increase your chances, send us a tweet. That way we know that you've done it, and that might actually be the better way to directly tell you that you are a winner if you are in fact selected. Otherwise, we might have to scramble, find you in a YouTube comment, something like that. So that will only help. So please subscribe, Sight and Sound, enter for your chance to win a Schmoes Know t-shirt of your choice. But we get to pick the size. No. And make sure where was I? I don't know. We're going to announce it on the next episode of Sight and Sound.
We've also got Sight and Sound t-shirts coming up. I'm going to talk to Daddy Harloff, and I think he'd be down for this, but
I know where this
swerving
is
already. I'm thinking After Schmoe t-shirts in the very, very near future. Now that I'm on the before
in our store?
No, probably in the Schmoes Know store. Yeah, we gotta pay Daddy Harloff somehow.
I thought you were gonna say that we were going to lend him Sight and Sound t-shirts to wear on air at Collider.
Absolutely, we're going to be sending care packages to both Mark Ellis and Kristian Harloff.
I thought send something to Roca.
I thought about we should send something to John Roca. I thought about sending one to Josh Macuga, but everyone knows that he has his t-shirts custom made to fit over his gigantic Popeye forearms. But no, the other thing I was going to say, sorry, the After Schmoe t-shirt. See, I did the design work for Schmoeville as well, the Schmoeville podcast, and they wanted to do t-shirts, but I wasn't on the show, and all I wanted was for Kristian to plug Sight and Sound on I don't know.
Not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, but we got one step further. Now Sight and Sound is on SK Plus.
Somehow we found a way to hijack his own brand for our own giveaway.
That's right.
So that's what we have to do to kind of take the reins on that a bit.
Two things real quick. If you guys missed it, we talked about it on last week's show, but we started this thing this week called the Pre-Schmoe, which is if you're on the Schmoeville Facebook page, which I hope everybody is watching this.
Oh.
I did a Facebook live stream like 45 minutes before the live show itself, and yeah, we had a great time. Sort of previewed the show, had a lot of fun, dropped some knowledge, and yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that. Hopefully Ryan's gonna join me next week or something like that, so we'll be doing more of that, so make sure you're looking out for that. Also, Kristian did a live stream on the movie trivia Schmoedown page. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
I don't know what you're talking about. No, it was hilarious. Yeah, he started up a thing, and every time he does something like that, I have to make fun of him. I just have to, and partially it's because I don't get to, talk about him because he's not on the live show anymore. So After Schmoe is almost Kristian Harloff-less.
He's sort of fair game at this point.
Yeah, he's fair game, and I just like to tease him. So he got on, he started a Facebook live stream as movie talk was going on, so I found that funny, and I made the comment, oh, Harloff Facebook Live is a priority, because I also noticed that he had viewership in the teens, and I guarantee it was because Collider was on. I guarantee.
Hey, that's kind of what Pre-Schmoe had.
Yeah, we're just as good as Kristian Harloff.
All right, so now I'm going to be Kristian. I'm going to say, let's move this along.
So
my phone can't handle it. I've got to focus on driving.
So the point is, I made a joke, made fun of him, and he called me out and said that the only reason I commented was so that he would plug After Schmoe. I laughed. It was hilarious. He was 100% right. Like, I'm not even joking. That's exactly why I did it, and I thought it was hilarious that he knew.
He also sent out the most pathetic... Kristian, we love you. He knows we love him. He knows we like to pick at him. He sent out the most ridiculous and pathetic tweet to promote the show last week.
Oh my God, it was awful.
Hey guys, I want you guys to check out
Schmoes Know Rundown.
It's absolutely fantastic, and also Ryan and Jay show.
And the link was to Schmoe Know Rundown.
It was just funny.
It's like, that is a pathetic tweet. So we got our reparations. But enough of that. We've done enough. We've done like, what, 10 minutes of this already? Let's talk about the live show. Number 280, Tom Hanks Films and Ken Knapsack takes over. And I think Macuga actually claimed that he also took over via Twitter. So you can decide to agree with that or not.
Did we know about this going into the show? Because I remember Ellis talking about having to do this college show last week.
I don't remember him saying it, but someone in the comments is going to correct us and let us know if he did or not.
Yeah, I don't remember him mentioning anything about that, but I was surprised that you weren't watching live, and I told you, and your reaction was actually pretty.
I was scared.
You're pretty shocked, yeah.
Okay, so let's just right out of the bat. This episode was fucking great.
Best show I've watched, complete live show experience I've watched since I've been a part of After Schmoe. And of course there have been some really great individual moments. Mainly Brett moments come to mind, and there's a bunch of really funny stuff and fun stuff going on. But as a full package from start to finish, I think this was one of the best shows they've had in quite a long time. And that's not...
I was going to say, do you feel bad for saying that? Do you feel bad for saying that the show that without Kristian and without Mark is one of the best that you've seen? No, absolutely not. Because look, first of all, every show of any sort goes through ruts. Our very first Sight and Sound on SK Plus was one of our worst podcasts we've ever done. It's true.
And it just happens, man. It happens. This was a different vibe. This was a different flavor. Of course, Ken has hosted this show before, and obviously Macuga's been on the show a lot, but it was...
Really?
Well, not lately, but I mean just in general.
Was making a joke.
Okay. And I don't know, man. Also, Brett was at the main table for... Was he there for the entirety of the show? I believe he was. I like that. I mean, it was just a different vibe.
I remember.
We talked last week how it was a different vibe for completely different reasons, because there were elements missing that we know and love of the show. This one was just different because Ken hosting, because Macuga was sort of his number two, Brett's presence, obviously RB3 on the prom couch with Joel. It was just, I've heard a lot from Cody this week. It was just a good show. I really enjoyed this week's show.
Something I mentioned to you before is that Ken obviously has this radio background. We know about it. He talks about it. Somehow, regardless of him being an actual radio host, he seems to be less hosty than Ellis is. And I don't really know how to explain it. I feel like Ellis is more on point and more directive, whereas people didn't have to be cued in to just start talking with Ken. It's a little bit surprising too, because I would think it would be the opposite. Exactly. I didn't know, it wasn't strange, but you're right, you kind of think that would be backwards. And it also kind of surprises me to say that Ellis is more hosty, because I don't know, maybe he kind of is that way with movie talk. I've said it before, I think he's the better Collider host, whereas Kristian is the better live show host, I think. But Ken somehow had a nice mix, but was also Ken, if that even makes any sense at all.
We like to take credit for any time they take our ideas to heart, which I think they were getting a little self-conscious about the low energy. I noticed no Cal in this episode.
Well, no Riley either.
No Riley.
Riley took a back seat. Absolutely. Because of us. Which
was strange to me, because I thought he was for sure going to be on the show, considering he just won the Schmoedown belt. I thought they would have celebrated that with him on the live show. But nonetheless, maybe they heard us talking, and maybe they had to have one of their 5-hour meetings and sit down together and say, guys, we've got to up the energy, which is why they brought in the Wild Man. That's why they brought Brett to sort of be the third host, so to speak.
And that they listen to us, but they haven't acknowledged After Schmoe in a way like they used to give the Schmoeville After Show attention.
It's because this is a very fun-loving show. We provide the atmosphere of, let's hang out, let's have a good time, take your dick out, whatever.
I'm not being negative. I think it's funny. I think it's funny that they finally addressed After Schmoe the way they used to address Schmoeville After Show.
Okay.
And I thought that
because of controversy.
That was great. Yes. the theatrics that I love so much. Because Cobbster, for some reason, likes Papa John's.
I thought it was funny that he got wound up about that. Obviously, there was a little bit of shtick thrown in there, and that's sort of what it was with us too. I haven't run the tape back, but I could have swore he didn't specify directly it had to do with the...
I don't even care. Like, people corrected us in the comment section. I don't care if he actually said best con pizza. It's still a pathetic statement.
You know who had our back?
Have to bring... That's what they... The whole point was that they had to bring up how good Papa John's was for them.
You know who had our back through that whole conversation? First of all, we should have addressed this at the beginning of this whole thing. Sorry if the audio is a little strange. I'm just recording this straight on my phone.
It's going to be like Aaron Turner's celebration video.
How dare you, first of all. Second of all...
I'm just commenting, but the comments.
Second of all, we have put in we've put in a request from the Schmoes to get better equipment. We're waiting for our budget to be approved right now.
Actually, I was gonna bring an audio recorder, and you told me not to.
I didn't. But anyways, that's beside the point. You know who had our back through the whole Cobbster pizza debacle, Pizzagate, the real Pizzagate?
I have a great guess.
Macuga had our back through that whole thing. He was like, seriously, Papa John's? Loved it. Love me some Josh Macuga in my life. And I'm going so fast right now. I need to slow down. Sorry.
The point you made about Riley being out, even though he just won the Schmoedown, I have been in the process of moving homes, and for like a week I didn't have internet, and I wasn't watching Collider on my phone. So I thought about, purely as an antic, coming into this After Schmoe having zero idea that Mark Riley was actually Schmoedown champ. But I eventually gave in, and actually I think you ruined it for me.
Did I?
Based on a group text. But
it happens.
Anyway, I consider just not watching that match purely as an antic.
I'm gonna throw the Kristian hammer down one more time. Gotta move this along. I'm afraid I'm gonna miss my exit right now.
No,
I love you guys. I love you.
You have a ton of time. They talked a lot about the "Don't Be a Beardo" with Emma Pfyffe.
Well, you know what's funny?
They spent a long time on that.
You know what's funny is I'm gonna toot my own horn here for a second. I addressed a lot of the stuff that they talked about, even though not knowing. I didn't know what the outline of the show was going to be when I did my pre-schmo, but I talked a lot about that. We don't talk about SK Plus that much here, but for me personally, because we are the After Schmoe. We talk about the Schmoeville live show. I'm sorry, the Schmoes Know live show. And
this is the Schmoeville live show.
That's right. So, you know, I could definitely see down the road if there's maybe not as much to talk about. We do start talking more about the SK Plus stuff, because I don't know for a fact, but I could definitely foresee Kristian's vision for SK Plus as expanding this universe a little bit more. And I like that, because Beardo is a great podcaster. I think.
Can there be a segment that we dedicate to ourselves, and we can critique the previous episode? The thing about Beardo, I think the only podcast or episode that I've listened to of his are the Brett and Ace, and no one gives Ace's episode any love at all. But that's
because he didn't cry.
That's when I first realized how good of an interviewer Beardo actually is, and I didn't realize, like, I didn't think he was a weird interview, but the way Ken described it, it was actually pretty funny. Ken was spot on, but I never considered Beardo being a weird interview. You know what I mean?
Beardo, what? Beardo being a weird interview?
Like, being on the Beardo show as a weird interview.
Oh, so Beardo maybe is a weird interviewer.
Yes, okay. I meant to say interview, but that same context, yes.
Well, the thing about Beardo that's great is that he has the wherewithal, and as a host, this is a great podcast host, that he can sort of cut through and dig deeper to find certain answers. Like, if somebody throws out a statement that maybe is shrouded in some mystery, he will sort of try to unpack that as best as he can, and that's fantastic. I posed this question on the pre-schmo, but I don't know if Harloff podcast is coming back in an official capacity. It very well may not. He might have just got me to design some graphic so that he could upload the content to SK Plus. But if it is coming back, because of Beardo, because the Knapsack Files, which isn't on SK Plus but still in the same vicinity, because they're so much alike, those two podcasts, I'm sort of curious as to what Harloff podcast is going to be in, or to what capacity the show will be. Is it going to be a completely different idea? Is it going to be the same thing as it was, but maybe him getting guests that people like Beardo and people like Ken,
like us,
like us, of course, or a Sam Witwer or a Freddie Prinze Jr.,
Ooh.
somebody like that, that maybe he has a more close personal relationship with.
How do you feel about Ken being the last knapsack on Earth? I would be willing to marry Ken and adopt a child under his last name to give him another knapsack. I would be willing to do that. Then again, he doesn't need me to adopt a child, but I would do it. I would be a stay-at-home father, and I would live off of his Collider money. That keeps him too busy to do the new segment anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little depressing thing to talk about. I never know what's real and what's not when Ken talks about stuff like this. I can sort of relate. I don't want children. I just don't want them. Don't want anything to do with them. They stand in the way of my ability to become a podcast mogul, which I'm already living that dream. But to have children, I sort of associate it with Ken. He wants to build whatever he's building, and so do I, and children only stand in the way of that.
To stay on that topic a little bit, do you think our schmoes are getting, and the reason why I'm saying stay on topic is because we were talking about sort of the slump that they've been in, at least that's our impression. Are these guys just too busy? Is the Schmoes Know Show becoming more of a burden to these people? Because think about it. I don't know if it's like you said, I don't know if it's real or not, but the fact that Ken can't even come up with the news segment, and I'm not saying that as a criticism of him. I'm saying if he's really that busy, is it a problem?
That's a good question. I don't think they're too busy, and maybe they're the same thing, but I think that the show, or I think that Collider and Schmoes, they're just spreading themselves too thin. They have a big they have a bunch of employees that work there, and they do a lot of things. They do a lot of things really, really well. I'm not going to necessarily say that the live show takes a backseat, but it's definitely a more relaxed vibe. Like, you can really just show up to
well,
that
it's
show.
a backseat to Kristian. Kristian's priority is Schmoedown.
Of course, I mean, he's got a lot, and the Schmoedown is benefiting from that.
Oh,
but you know, I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I'm curious. I know they spend a lot of time working on, bless you, or whatever. I know that they spend a lot of time working on awesome-tacular stuff, whether it's writing segments or skits and whatnot.
Sketches, not skits.
Now, I've only watched Awesome-tacular once, but to know that they spend so much time developing, and I know that they have a relationship or a deal in place with Go90, and that's all great, that's fantastic. But to know that they spend so much time working on something that's not a bread and butter product for YouTube and for the Collider content, that I'm curious about that. Like, would Awesome-tacular be better service? Obviously, they have probably a financial deal in place with Go90, but
I was gonna say it depends on those hundies. Of
course, 100%. But is their bread and butter content on YouTube potentially not getting the same? Whoa! There's just some random mist and fog that just came up in front of us. Where's Thomas Jane when you need him? Anyways, I'm curious of whether or not the standard YouTube stuff is getting the same love that it needs, or would Awesome-tacular better be served on something like YouTube? I don't know. The fog really threw me off. I lost my train of thought.
I just think it's funny because one of our criticisms is that they have way too many people as it is to come up with their content. But it's like now we're seeing these like real, actual like side effects from from the overload, it seems. So I don't know.
Giving you the 5-minute cue. 5-minute cue.
Okay.
To wrap this up.
Okay. I was gonna stop at 30 minutes anyway.
Okay.
It's just real quick. Is Cobbster right or wrong about this whole Split thing? The Glass being a sequel.
He's 100% wrong.
Or I'm sorry, Split being a sequel to Unbreakable.
He's 100% wrong.
100% wrong.
Yeah, there's no debate about it, in my opinion.
I was under the impression that Macuga, I've said it before on this show, and no one's ever corrected me. I was under the impression that he was a really well-read guy. Like, when he talks about TV and movies that are based on historical fiction and things like that, he'll explain the actual history of what goes behind some of these stories. And I know he's already really intelligent. I'm not saying he's not intelligent, but he has lately been talking about how he's not well read. He doesn't like books, and that's kind of throwing me off. So I don't know exactly how he got so smart. Maybe it's within the same realm of television. Maybe he's watching documentaries to get smarter about other TV shows. But he is well read, or I mean, he is very smart about history, but he doesn't read, apparently. So I've just been surprised at that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't have much context of that, just because I've only been taking in Collider content for a brief amount of time. But I can relate to it. I mean, I used to read non-stop, and the more content in other places I started taking in, the less I actually had time to read. And yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I brought my Kindle.
We do a we do a podcast or two, so, and we have to take in content to do that. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. I've literally been reading the same book for 2 years, I swear to God.
Macuga, he has finally put me in a position to where I think from here on out, I am 26 years old. I think I'm about ready to declare I never, ever am going to Pittsburgh. Like, I am so sick of Pittsburgh.
I'm more of a Philly guy myself.
And Schmoeville could hold me accountable. I am right now refusing to go to Pittsburgh for the rest of my life. However long that might be, I think I'm prepared to make that kind of move right here, right now. It blows my mind how much he knew about Perks of Being a Wallflower, the director, the author, all that stuff, just because it had to do with Pittsburgh. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's ridiculous. Also, they're calling Buffalo Wild Wings, but we call it B-dubs. So let me know in the comments section, if you have a Buffalo Wild Wings in your local area, do you call it Buffalo Wild Wings or do you call it B-dubs? And has the Collider crew ever called it B-dubs? Because I think they always say Buffalo Wild Wings. And if they have said B-dubs, if they had said B-dubs before, why do they stop and why do they revert back to the Buffalo Wild Wings? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments section below. Do you have anything to say about Brett to the Future? It was just ridiculous.
I enjoyed it.
It was crazy.
I enjoyed it. I don't have enough to say about it in less than a minute.
Jay's getting tired. He's worried about
I'm worried about
the phone battery. He's worried about the exit. He's worried about...
My God!
Oh, now this road trip video is a bad idea. Did you notice Finstock circling the set like a vulture, but he never got airtime?
I had no idea he was there.
In certain shots of the, not the Wanger table, but of the behind-the-scenes table, the producer table, you can see Finstock with his mask on just walking around. So Cobbster just never gave him screen time, even though he was prepared.
Amazing.
All of their time, extra time, was dedicated to RB3 and Joel being on the prom couch, which was a hilarious bit. One thing I really, really loved about this episode, I'm going to call it profiles because it reminds me of what Scott Mantz and Alicia Malone used to do. The whole profile of Tom Hanks was really, really great. I know that we don't really talk about discussion on After Schmoe, but that felt different to me. Why did that feel different?
I don't know. It was.
We'll wrap up.
It was. I don't know why it felt different, because they don't get into those sort of conversations that often. I mean, they do, but I don't know. I think it just had something to do with Ken. The fact that Ken is more. He's more attuned to doing content like that.
Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
So
I'm freaking out right now.
We spent 9 minutes doing housekeeping, talking about ourselves, and only 20 minutes talking about the Schmoes.
Well, it is what it is, because it's not a full episode, so shut the fuck up.
You are
Let's get the hell out of here.
Guys,
if I miss my exit,
follow,
I'm gonna freak.
Stop. Follow us on Twitter at WhatUpSnell, at Jaye Williams, at Sight and Sound Pod, and subscribe to the Sight and Sound YouTube channel to enter your chance to get a Schmoes Know t-shirt of your choice. Thank you so much. Also head over to that channel and you can see more of these type of vlogs. Okay, Jay's getting upset. Bye-bye.
There it is right there. We're gonna miss it.